Hello and welcome to Diecast Restos and to this MB162 Vauxhall Astra GTE, or the Opel Kadett GSi if you'd rather. The casting was a rest of world only model, meaning it was not sold in North America. It's fairly common in Europe, spanning 1986 to 1993. This one was produced from 1989 to 1991, dressed up in John Welch's Rallycross livery. His Rallycross car was not strictly a GTE Astra, but a 4S all-wheel drive version designed for Group B rallying. I'll go into this some more later. Here's how Welch's Astra looked, and here is a road-going Vauxhall Astra GTE. And this is what I'll be turning this casting into, John Cleland's 1989 British Touring Car Championship winning Astra. So I'll begin by dismantling the mistreated casting while I give you a brief history on the car. The Astra, or Kadett, was produced from 1984 to 1995. It was the 5th generation Kadett, and the last before Opel opted to use the Astra name across its Opel and Vauxhall brands. This occurred in 1991 with the release of the Mark III Astra, also known as the Astra F. The GTE, or GSi, this casting is based on was the General Motors owned company's high-performance model. It initially used the 1.8 litre 115 horsepower engine from the Mark I Astra GTE, but this was soon replaced by a 2 litre 124 horsepower 4-pot. This in turn was replaced by a twin camshaft unit that was capable of 156 brake horsepower in 1988. John Welch's car was nothing like a standard GTE. The usually front-wheel drive Astra Kadett was developed into a 4-wheel drive rally monster called the 4S, specifically for the FIA's Group B specifications. This was in 1984, and by 1985 there were 4 4S prototypes, all with X-Track 4-wheel drive, but each with different engines. 2 were tested in the 1986 Paris-Dakar Rally, while 1 entered the British Rally Championship under the prototype category the same year. Now to strip the scratched Rallycross paintwork. Group B was banned in 1986, so the car's development shifted to the new Group S regulations. These regs never took off, and so the 4S was abandoned by Opel. One of the Paris-Dakar cars was purchased by John Welch in 1987. The series he entered was the British and European Rallycross Championship, now swamped with former Group B machinery. Welch's Astra had an Opel Manta 2.1 litre engine that was turbocharged with a BMW Formula 1 unit and capable of 650 brake horsepower. Despite the raw Astra being equipped with Group B levels of power, it looked mundane next to the appendages of the Ford RS200s, Peugeot 205 T16s, or the MG Metro 6R4s. Welch competed with the 4S from 1988 to 1992, with his best finish 10th place in the 1988 European Rallycross Championship. So there was a bit of background on the livery the Diecast carried between 1989 and 1991. And then from 1992 to 1993 without the number 7 on the doors. I shall now delve into the Astra GTE run by John Cleland in the British Touring Car Championship. Cleland twice won the short-lived Thunder Saloons Championships, driving Peter Brock's 1984 Bathurst 1000 Holden Commodore, badged as a Vauxhall Senator. This was prior to his 1989 BTCC debut. Cleland secured a factory drive with Vauxhall in the championship, which was, at the time, divided into different classes. His GTE Astra was entered into Class C, 1601 to 2000cc. As you might have noticed earlier, the casting has suffered a lot of pitting, particularly across the rear, so I need to fill this in before I can paint it. There were some minor areas elsewhere I also decided to treat. Cleland's competitors in Class C were similarly spec'd Volkswagen Golf GTIs, a Peugeot 309 GTI, and further Astra GTEs. In the 1600cc or below Class D, Toyota Corollas dominated, while Class B, up to 2.5 litres, consisted entirely of BMW M3s. In Class A, Ford Sierra RS 500s were run by all but one of the 15 teams entered. A Maserati bi-turbo was the other car in the 2501 to 3000cc class. Vauxhall had eyed a class win for their sportier hatchback. They also believed they would have an outside chance with the Astra for an overall championship win. This would be achieved by consistently gathering points and staying out of any drama in the middle of the field. Cleland won his class in 4 of the first 5 races of the season, finishing 3rd in the other. Aside from a retirement at the Silverstone meeting on the national circuit, Cleland won all remaining races, with 9th overall his best result. With the skewed classing system awarding even championship points to all drivers for their 11 best results, Cleland took maximum points, winning the title from B-class driver James Weaver by just 1 point. So the story now leaves the little Astra GTE behind, as I paint the reprimed body in white ready for detailing and decals shortly. The BTCC's rulebook changed for 1990, with Class C and D dropped, and the classing system removed altogether for 1991. The Astra was deemed too small for Class B, so Cleland was entered with a Vauxhall Cavalier saloon instead. Cleland finished 2nd in class to Frank Sittner's BMW M3, and 5th overall, including the Sierra RS500 exclusive Class A. 1991's new regulations saw the series adopt the Super Touring formula. Vauxhall and BMW had been one step ahead by choosing to adhere to these regulations the previous season. These required entrant cars to be no more than 2 litres in engine capacity or 6 cylinders maximum. Vehicles had to be naturally aspirated and from 1993 required 4 doors and to be a minimum of 4.2 metres in length or 13.8 feet. For homologation purposes, a minimum of 2,500 factory units of the model must have been produced, but this was increased to 25,000 in 1995. Cleland took 4 race victories in his Cavalier as he finished 2nd in the championship to Will Hoy's BMW M3. 1992 was an incredibly exciting year as the championship exploded. Vauxhall, BMW and Toyota were embroiled in a tight championship battle, particularly between Cleland, Tim Harvey in the BMW and Will Hoy in his Toyota Carina. Each took multiple victories and podiums, and as they went into the final race, just 4 points separated the 3 drivers. A downpour during qualifying shook up the starting grid for the race, with championship leader John Cleland starting in 7th, Will Hoy in 9th and Tim Harvey 12th. This race is an unbelievable watch. If you haven't seen it, I will leave a link here and I seriously suggest you do go and watch. Exciting, edge of your seat racing, and with commentary from the late great Murray Walker. It even includes the timeless "I'm going for first," said John Cleland line from my hero Murray. Absolute legend. Now if you don't want to hear what happened and wanted to watch that race later, you'd best mute for 60 seconds. BMW driver Steve Soper suffered a big shunt early in the race, but began making a charge through the field. The front few drivers battled, slowing each other down, while the 3 title contenders and a resurgent Soper loomed. On the penultimate lap, Harvey's move on Hoy dropped both drivers behind Cleland and Soper. Soper then overtook Cleland, and Harvey soon followed suit before being waved ahead of his BMW teammate. Cleland needed those valuable points for the title, so attacked Soper into the following corners, using his BMW as a cushion and riding high up into the air on 2 wheels. Going into the next turn, Soper had the inside line as Cleland turned in, spearing both cars into the gravel trap and out of the race. This meant Tim Harvey's 4th place was enough to clinch him the title, and meant John Cleland finished 3rd overall. In 1993 and 1994, Cleland finished 4th in the championship in his Cavalier, winning races in both seasons. He then romped to his 2nd championship in 1995, finishing the season with 6 wins and 12 podiums, 43 points ahead of Alain Menu in the Williams Renault Laguna, and 93 points ahead of 3rd place Rickard Rydell's Volvo 850. Vauxhall missed out on the Manufacturers' Championship by 4 points to Renault that year. Vauxhall switched to the Vectra for 1996, the Cavalier's replacement, but Cleland had little success other than sporadic podiums in his new machinery. He won twice during the 1998 season, but these were to be his last BTCC victories. He retired from the championship at the end of the 1999 season, while continuing to run his car dealership. Also, between 1993 and 2005, Cleland entered the Bathurst 1000 12 times. His best result was second overall, alongside co-driver Brad Jones in 2001 in a Ford AU Falcon. So that was a brief history on the Vauxhall Astra GTE, or Opel Kadett GSi, the rallycross history of the John Welch 4S Astra, and the brief but successful career of the GTE in British touring car racing, along with the car's driver John Cleland. I will leave a link in the description for the excellent decal recreation of Cleland's Astra as I apply the finishing touches to them. The trickiest part of this build was ensuring the decals are cut to allow the doors to open. As such, the lines are not the tidiest, but this Mr. Mark softer should help the decal conform to the contours of the body. So this is how the Rallycross liveried Astra looked to begin with. Not in the worst state, but removing the paint revealed some severe underlying oxidation. It had a bit of a lean on, as you can see, which has been corrected by cleaning up and realigning the suspension piece. There was a minor crack in the rear screen, but I couldn't do too much about that. Otherwise though, it's been a good opportunity to tell 3 stories in one, and so here is how the Astra / Kadett now looks. These really are a great set of decals from Walton style. The design on them is flawless, especially taking into consideration the scale. The wheels are near identical to the originals and also come from Walton style. Under natural light you can clearly see the silver trim. I had to chop the rear decal in 3 as I quite like the idea of being able to disassemble the model or open the doors without destroying the design. My favourite parts are the GM and Vauxhall logos on the front bumper and the John Cleland name badge with Saltire on the wing. The finish of the decal on the bonnet is impressive, considering it also had slight hood scoops. Well, that was quite a build and quite a story, and if you'd like to see and hear more, please do subscribe. If you can, please help support the channel on Patreon or via YouTube memberships. Links can be found below. But that just leaves me to say thanks for watching, and I'll see you again for the next one. Bye for now.